In his poem The Wasteland, which many consider to be the greatest poem of the 20th century, T.S. Eliot wrote, quote, "April is the cruelest month. This is my dog Moby, and this is my other dog, Finnegan. And on a cold April afternoon, we went for a walk along the rocky shores of Lake Michigan, which is here in Door County, Wisconsin's peninsula. This is one of our favorite places to travel to, and it's entirely unique to the Great Lakes." We went for this walk on a Sunday, and I was taking a break from the writing of my first novel in order to touch some grass, as the saying goes. Basically, I've just been feeling burnt out lately, trying to do the novel writing thing and make YouTube videos and build a website and this, that, and the third. Winter is just a tiring time, especially where I live. It's a cold climate, not a lot of sun, very cold, and that's kind of demoralizing. But it's April now, and me and the dogs and my girlfriend, all of us are ready to get outside. And while we were on this hike, I was reminded of the words of T.S. Eliot. What exactly makes April the cruelest month of them all? Why not the dead of winter in the months of January or February when the snow is high and the temperatures are sub-zero? Like I said, I'm living in a cold climate. We get between 4 and 5 feet of snow every year, and that January to February stretch is almost always below zero with wind chill. So why is the cruelest month April, when the ice of the Great Lakes first begins to really break, as opposed to, say, even a few weeks before, just before the temperatures rise above freezing for the first time in more than 6 or 7 months? The most common interpretation has to do with the hope which spring inspires. For those living in cold climates like mine, spring is the sunrise of the warm season. Spring is the season of excitement and anticipation. It is the return of a friend during a rest stop while on the way to a new place. Spring is a time of budding greenery. Where I live, it is in the month of April that life blooms brightly in small bubbles of the brown woods surrounding these freshwater oceans. But that isn't all that the first full month of spring is. April, you see, loves to tease, which again is why T.S. Eliot began what many consider to be the greatest poem of the 20th century with these words. April is the cruelest month, breeding lilacs out of the dead land, mixing memory and desire, stirring dull roots with spring rain. In April, the worst of the winter is behind us. All around us, we can feel the world changing. We can feel the landscape emerging from its long and snowy slumber. During the spring thaw, when we gaze at the natural world around us, we find the emergence of new life. But in colder climates like the one I live in, there will suddenly be a pause. And this pause reminds us that the watchful eyes of winter are still upon us. And it is during these moments that summer feels furthest from us, like a warm but just out of reach dream. For me, the cruelty of April comes from the sudden and spontaneous movements between the warm promise of spring and later summer, and the demoralizing reminders of winter's bitter cold. On this cold and cruel April afternoon, I took a walk along the rocky shores of Lake Michigan with my dogs and my girlfriend. And despite the calendar date, I felt that spring was still somehow impossibly far away. And it is this feeling, this memory, that I'm writing about now. I'm writing about the distant smell of spring on a chilly afternoon, and about the natural beauty of the Great Lakes, and the creativity that they can help inspire. This day that I'm sharing with you is one I'll remember for a long time. And I think that's because of its simple beauty. The cruelties of the old season were in plain sight, but we longed for spring. We were ready for the warm weather and to be able to take our coats off and stand beneath the sun. And as I look back at some of the video footage I got while on this hike, it makes me wonder about the connection between the seasons and the behavior of the living creatures surviving and wandering around the forest floor. And beyond that, I think there's something deeply human to be found in the cruelties of April. At least in this place. In the cold air, there's a sharpness. But in my heart, the surety of spring and my knowledge of the date on the calendar installs a kind of sweetness, a feeling that rises up in the silence between biting waves of wind, as I remember the speed with which days make months and months make years. Change is coming. Try as it might, the winter is always bested by the spring. And it is because of our longing for change that we perceive April as the cruelest month. This was the first episode in a playlist of writing vlogs I'm putting together over the next few weeks. I want to figure out how to include my writing more in these videos. I'm in the process of writing my first novel, and this is a way of kind of dramatizing it, hopefully. I want to figure out how to get the process of writing a novel on camera. So if you liked this video, I hope that you will check out this playlist and subscribe, and please let me know what your thoughts on the connection between the seasons and human behavior are. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I will see you next time. Whoa. Oh. For me, April. Hopefully this is good.